Hello everyone and welcome back to Lucky Loaders 15, where I'll be giving you 5 of my best bets for tomorrow's race in action. Now, before we get stuck into those tips today, just quickly recap on how our selections have ran so far. At the current time of recording, we've still got 2 selections to go tonight at Kempton with my late and my next best as well. So fingers crossed they can get the job done. But we all started off today with a winner with our first tip of July in the opening race at Southwell for the first jumps race back in the UK. 90210 was a very nice winner, I thought, for Harry Cobden and Paul Nicholls in the colours of JP McManus, and that was his chase debut today, and I thought he jumped really nicely. And it's interesting as well, he's been a bit of a frustrating horse in his career. He won at Musselburgh over hurdles earlier in the year, and that was his first convincing win for the team, because before that he'd been well gambled on quite a few times but been quite frustrating. But it's interesting that he still stayed in training with the Connections, because you wouldn't have thought they had too many low grade horses, and off a mark of 104 he really made a mockery of that mark. He absolutely bolted up. Maybe the race wasn't the deepest, but he could be the kind of horse that gets on a roll. And I did jokingly put up a tweet saying, were there any quotes for the Northern Trust Novices Handicap at the Cheltenham Festival next year? Not saying that he's going to go there, but he could definitely be, I think, maybe potentially a 130 plus horse moving forward in his career over fences. I think the key to him would be good ground. I think most of the time where he's shown his worst form was on soft and heavy. Maybe they have got to the bottom of him. I think he will be definitely a horse to keep an eye on next time out. Be interesting to see where he ends up. We then went to, again at Southwell, with Byron Flyer was one of our other tips. Managed to get each way place money with the 4 places as advertised last night at 13-2 for Will Kennedy and Ian Williams. Was in a good position for most of the race, and then it was a bit of an argy-bargy match in the hustle and bustle phase of the race, when they were all wanting to get in a good position coming into the turn. And he kind of got into a little bit of traffic, and then he managed to stay on again. Probably it was his class that got him out to finish in 4th place, and like I said, he got to a small bit of profit there, and that at least continued our good day. We then, however, went slightly downhill with our long shot. Suffolk Bruin for Ian Jardine in the 320 at Musselburgh was very well backed. We put him up at 14-1 each way last night, and there were 6s not long before the off, so there was quite a bit of money around for him. Even though there were 1 or 2 non-runners, they weren't significant non-runners. They were towards the outside of the market. So yeah, that was a bit disappointing there with Suffolk Bruin. But yeah, he just didn't really show anything when he was asked for his effort by Paul Mulrennan. And I don't think I'm going to be siding with him again until he starts showing me glimmers that he's in the mood to start winning races again. Very frustrating. We then went with my nap was so wonderful at Leopardstown. Don't necessarily think it was a bad ride by Shamie Heffernan. I think maybe going to the front wasn't a bad move, but maybe she just lacks the class for a mile race. Maybe going back down in a trip to 7 furlongs would see her to good effect. When she's been running over a mile, she just probably hasn't been seeing it out as strongly as maybe some of the others in her races have. And I just think over 7 furlongs, that would probably see her in a better light on a quick service. I know she does remain a maiden now, but I think she'll have her day in the sun soon. And if they can find a nice little race for her over 7 furlongs, I think she'll go in and break it. So yeah, that's how our nap ran. A little bit disappointing, but it's just the way it goes in racing. And like I said, we've still got 2 more tips to go tonight at Kempton. Currently just recording this after 6:30, and hopefully they can go and get the business done. But we will talk about now tomorrow's tips, and we're all focusing on the UK action tomorrow. Didn't really fancy anything over in Ireland. We're actually going to be starting with our first tip in the 120 at Catterick. Now this horse is going to be one of my extra tips tomorrow, and it's a horse called Highland Acclaim. Currently 9-1 with bookmakers at the moment. I'm going to recommend an each way selection here, trained by Ruth Carr, and Andrew Mullen is booked for the ride. Now Ruth Carr had her first winner since the lockdown the other day. I think it might have been at Thirsk with Magical Effect. I remember the name of the horse, but yeah, it was a nice promising win by Magical Effect. He was well handicapped, and Ruth Carr is normally a stable. When she gets her first winner, they normally kind of get on a bit of a winning streak, and I think Highland Acclaim is really interesting here. Previously was with David O'Meara, and really dropped through the weights last year. I think he started out at one point in the high 70s, and then he went down to the low 50s after he transferred to Roof Car. And last time out, he probably needed the run, and he was suggesting that he still had a race in him. He travelled strongly for quite a lot of the way, and then he just blew up in the last furlong, shaped like he needed a race. But since Roof Car's had him, she's actually managed to get a win out of him. He won on the all-weather in what was actually a good race for the grade, and this race tomorrow doesn't look that much of a race on paper. I thought it was quite a weak race, and I think the race at Ripon last time was better, and there's been some form clues from that race that have shown it wasn't a bad level for the grade. Now, Highland Acclaim, like I said, he's got a class angle in this race tomorrow. He was still running okay at times last year. He wasn't winning, but he was making the frame sometimes in marks off the high 60s, low 70s, you know. So if he could just even run at that kind of standard, you like to think that he would be able to show a little bit of his form. He is a little bit of an old boy now, but I think tomorrow he's got a fair chance in this race of going quite close. And with the stable having their first winner, I just think if he can show a little bit of ability in what looks like a really weak race on paper, he can definitely make the frame. And at 9-1, I'm willing to take a chance there. We then go to Bath, and it's all going to be a bit quick fire with the next 4 tips. My remaining tips, they're all going to be coming quick and fast in a space of 40 minutes. And our long shot, our second tip tomorrow, runs at Bath in the 310, and I'm going to take a chance here with Essaka for Sophie Ralston and Tony Carroll's but for the ride. Now, Sophie Ralston's able to claim a handy £5 off the horse's back. Now, this horse was really eye-catching last time out when he finished 4th, stayed on really strongly, and he's had a couple of runs now to warm up to the task, and as a result the handicap has now dropped him to his last winning mark of 59, and he won off this mark last year at Brighton, so that's definitely a good omen. And he's normally a horse that runs his race, and Sophie Ralston's got a good relationship on him. In fact, his last win came with Sophie Ralston aboard, you know, so that's a positive there. She knows him very well. Tony Carroll's Yarder have been in a bit of a better form of late. They've had a few winners, so yeah, the stable are going okay. They did start off quite weakly, but they're getting into gear now. And Essaka, even though yeah, there are 1 or 2 potentially rivals here with strong claims, I think Essaka shouldn't be underestimated, and I could definitely see him running on late in the day, and it might be good enough to win, back down to his last winning mark and the £5 as well that Sophie Ralston's going to be taking off. So I just thought Essaka tomorrow had a good chance in this race, and for me, he'll do as my long shot at 10-1 each way. We then go my next best, which runs in a 320 at Catterick with a horse called Cheshire for Josie Gordon and James Bethel. James Bethel was a small trainer, but his yard had been going okay. 2 winners from 12 runners, so the yard are in somewhat of decent form. And this horse was quite eye-catching, I thought, at Doncaster last time out when finishing 3rd in a better race than this. There was horses represented from John Gosden, Mark Johnston, Michael Bell, George Scott. There were some nice types in there. And this horse Cheshire plugged on really well. Now yes, some of the horses that were towards the top of the market might have disappointed, but she did pluck on well, this daughter of Nathaniel, and Nathaniel's progeny normally tend to improve run by run. And even though it might be potentially a stiff track, or it is a stiff track at Catterick tomorrow, I think this horse has got a good chance in this small race. I know Mick Shannon and Michael Bell are the top 2 in the market, but I thought 11-2 represented a little bit of good value. Also as well, I know Josephine Gordon's agent, and I know he thinks really highly of her. He thinks that it's his best jockey on his books. And I've spoken to him about her, and I spoke to Josie in the podcast that I run called In the Saddle a couple of months ago, and she's doing really well now. She's actually done quite well considering she's not really involved with many yards. She's been riding out for a lot of different people, and she's been doing really well, and she's been getting a few winners. Arrogato's been probably her best horse since the resumption of racing, got a few wins out of him for William Jarvis, and she's definitely kind of starting to find some form like she had a few years ago, the likes of Hugo Palmer when she was riding for some of the more bigger names in the game. But Cheshire, I thought tomorrow at 11-2, she's an interesting jockey booking, and for me, I'm just going to recommend a one point win bet as my next best. We then go to my lay of the day, which runs in the 340 at Bath with real estate. You can currently lay him on the Betfair exchange for 3.2 for Ross O'Ryan and Michael Atwater. Now, Michael Atwater's team are in good form. Ross O'Ryan is in good form. But I just think this horse tomorrow is a little bit short in the betting in what looks like a very tough race on paper. You've got the likes of May Remain, Union Rose, Boom the Groom, some useful yardsticks in here. And even though this horse was a little bit unlucky last time, met a little bit of trouble in running, in stall 1 tomorrow, I think that's going to be a negative for this horse, and especially if a horse goes and grabs that rail, it might become a little bit of a messy race. And like I said, there's quite a few other horses in here that have decent chances, and Union Rose, that's reopposing with real estate tomorrow, actually beat this horse last time out and got a very good record at the race, and I would rather be backing him than real estate in this race. And you've got to look at elsewhere as well, what he's done in the past, and he's now off a mark of 78, which is pretty much a career high mark. You know, he's not won off a mark that high before, and does he really have that much improvement to come? I don't know. I think others are more better treated in here off their handicap marks, and he's going to be my lay of the day tomorrow, and I would want to take him on. So that's going to be my lay of the day. We then end with my nap, which runs in the 350 at Catterick with a horse called Roman's Empress, trained by Rebecca Menzies, who's a trainer I've got lots of time for, and James Sullivan is booked for the ride. Now, this horse ran a good race last time, I thought, at Red Car behind Sir Mark Prescott's Revolver. Typical Prescott method, go and keep chucking them out every few days, and Revolver's now notched up a couple of more wins since that run at Red Car, so the form has boosted to a good effect. And Roman's Empress is actually going to be really well treated in this race tomorrow. It's actually a classified stakes race, and she's going to be getting the 3-year-old allowance, and she's racing against older fillies, so I've got the same handicap rating as that. So I just think it's a bit madness that she's 9-2. I think she should be favourite for this race. It's a weak contest, and Becky Menzies had a winner today. They're starting to run really well now, the horses. I just think that this horse, even though, yes, she is a maiden, she's progressing really nicely. She's starting to improve. And for me at 9-2, I think that represents a good little bit of value. And I'm just going to recommend a win-only bet. And that's why that horse is going to be my nap of the day. He's got good form to the table. And I think it can still improve in what looks like a weak race, and is well treated at the weights. So they're my 5 best bets for tomorrow. Just quickly recap. In the 120 at Catterick, Highland Acclaim, 9-1 each way. And that's my extra tip. We then go to Bath with my long shot in the 310 Essaka for Sophie Ralston and Tony Carroll, 10-1 each way. My next best comes in the 320 at Catterick with Cheshire, 11-2, win only bet. My lay of the day comes in the 340 at Bath with real estate, currently lay on the Betfair exchange for 3.2. And then we end with my nap in the 350 at Catterick with a horse called Roman's Empress. So yeah, they're the 5 best bets for tomorrow. So if you haven't done so already, please make sure you hit the subscribe button for more videos. Really appreciate all the new followers we've had over the last few weeks. Thanks for all your support. Also as well, if you want to join that Telegram page, you know what to do. Just click the link. We've got a good community of punters growing up. I've grown on there now. We've got around about 80-90 people. Real community of lots of different punters sharing their own opinions. It's a great little community, and if you want to get involved in it, just click the link below, and then you just need to download the app. It's really simple, so just do that if you haven't done so already. You can also follow me as well on social media, where my Twitter handle is @LuckyLoaders15, and you can check out my website as well, which is www.chrisloaderracing.co.uk. So please gamble responsibly. Hopefully we can have some winners tomorrow, and we'll be seeing you soon.